morning, everyone. Today's topic of leadership and change management strategies for effective leadership during times of transformation. As I was coming in the morning today and thinking about this topic, the imagery that resonated with me was that of Mahabharata and Sri Krishna and how his leadership helped Pandavas navigate through the complex challenges. We all know, as the Sarathi of Arjuna, Sri Krishna not only gave strategic counsel, but also gave ethical guidance to the Pandavas. And when I look at what were those attributes that Sri Krishna demonstrated during that entire times of turbulence, I felt it was a very compelling vision. It was decisiveness. It was adaptability. And most importantly, it was taking the team along. And with all of those associations of leadership in that turbulent times, I think that imagery and that's whatever Sri Krishna symbolized to me always offers timeless lessons on leadership in times of transformation. So with that, I am so honored to welcome all our panel members. These are CEOs who have led equally challenging, if not more, turbulent times and transformation times. So welcome all of you. And just so that we all get started with a little bit of a warm-up, I shared the association that came to my mind when I was thinking of leadership topic. I'd like each one of you to share what is that one imagery, association, or a metaphor that resonates with you when you think of leadership and transformation? So maybe we start with you, Mr. Pukhraj.
So interesting metaphor that you had with regards to what transformation and obviously leadership means to you. For me, I'll actually take to an example which is quite unusual. I will not stick to the business schools and people who have succeeded and done extremely well in business. Actually, I look to some of the actors as a harbinger as well as an agent of transformation. You look at people like Kristen Bale, look at people like Amir Khan. The way these guys transform their own selves for the sake of getting a movie or doing justice to a movie. It's extremely impressive, And I think for us to be able to drive the transformation agenda within organizations, most importantly, we need to have that ability within ourselves. So I think I look to them for probably the right example of how transformation should happen.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective, how a leader transforms itself to be relevant to the times of transformation. Okay, with that, Dr. Navil, what would be your thought?
So, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for asking this question to me. First of all, I would like to clarify one thing. HR function is one of the most important in any organization. I think not only sales and marketing, HR drives to the business. They are connected everywhere. When an employee joins to a company, they are the people to welcome first. And they are the last person to the company till they retire or they leave the company. So HR function is very important. So please be motivated first of all. Okay. Somebody was saying that they are not getting enough recognition, not right. India is growing, so HR also growing, first thing. As a metaphor, what I think leaders should be very calm and they should be able to build a trust on the team. So if you trust somebody, definitely they also build a trust on us. And as a team, they can see the vision very far away actually. Now we don't know what we are traveling actually. There could be a rain, there could be a flood, anything happened today in Delhi actually. But we should be very strong saying that yes, we are here. We are also holding your hand. And when we started becoming a manager or a CEO, whatever is there, we have learned many cases from Harvard, big institutes actually, or big colleges. So we used to follow the Western culture. Now, what I'm thinking, there are a lot of things to be learned from the Eastern culture actually. And now this is understood by many people actually. What is the importance of the value of Indian system or the Asian culture actually? And there is a reason whichever CEOs in the US, why they're successful, because they're all having an Indian background actually. So as a HR team, I think we should focus more on that. And my way of thinking that if HR is perfect, and company should not worry anything. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think highlighting this importance of trust is a very good thought here. And I invite Mr. N.P. Gupta. Sir, what would be your association with leadership in this times of transformation?
Yeah, so good morning everyone. So I'll come to the first question first, what you asked. So I want to give my perspective into that. So one is that from where you draw your inspiration, it means different perspective to different people. Okay, so there can be different role models. You get your inspiration through different people, leaders, what you see across in your organization, around the world and all. So what basically inspires me is if I take a role model, that is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, from where I draw my inspiration. But then at the same time, having said that, every day when I go to work, it is an inspiration for me. When I see my team cheering up for the next day, for the next targets, because every day we are celebrating some small victories. So in the times of transformation, you know, there are a lot of micro things you manage, lot of stress around you, mental pressures around you. So it is very, very important that, as he rightly said, you keep your calm, you keep your pace. So in the times of transformation, it is important to connect with your people. It is important to align with your vision so that everyone is talking in the interest of the organization. So that is what inspires me when I see every day my team cheering up for each other. So team building workshops, everything, employee engagement activities, that we do a lot. And that is, I think, a big aspects of HR where we draw this employee engagement activities. So a lot of initiatives that has been taken care by our HR, like, you know, coffee with CEO, best operators, lunch with the plant head and HODs, star performer activities, a lot of employee engagement activities. So that basically inspire us to, you know, move forward towards the vision what we have set for the company. I think this is one of the important aspects.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think connection through all of these activities, and I think through the passion that you showed, connection came out as a big one. Okay, thank you, thank you. Mr. Ameet, what would be your thought on this?
So let me, and thank you everybody for having me here, first of all, and good morning. What I want to do is summarize what everybody said and, you know, draw in an episode that we've all seen and, you know, would have given us goosebumps. So there's Krishna, there is an actor, there is trust, connection, and where I draw inspiration from is, you know, real life episodes, real life situations, and the biggest one that's in my mind is 2611 at Taj. We had everybody, we had one Krishna there. So what it means is you don't need one Krishna in today's life. Everybody needs to be a Krishna. There needs to be trust that, you know, you are standing before what the business can teach you. There was no syllabus, you know, that there is no syllabus that defines what you need to do in such crisis situations. Now, there was a terrorist attack. Now, if an attack happens here, I'm sure, you know, everybody is going to behave differently right here in this room. But that was transformation. I think that is real life learning because it is out of the book. It is how people reacted. It is how people owned the situation. And I think ownership is extremely key. While you have trust, you know, you may have connections, but if you don't own the situation, you will run away and transformation won't happen. So I think that's my inspiration, real life episodes.
Yeah, beautifully said, beautifully said. I resonate with what you said. If you don't have ownership, then, you know, during these times of crisis, then you can't lead any transformation journey. So with those very, very beautiful thoughts, I think it's a very good start to this day with these inspiring words. And cut to today. I mean, I started with Mahabharat, but cut to today. I think today we are in a very, very different global environment. The world is volatile and complex, and we used to call this world VUCA world. But now it's also moving to what we now call it as a Bani world, which is it's brittle and it's ambiguous, it's non-linear and it's inconsistent. So in these times, more than ever, the organization and the leadership ability to navigate through these transformation is being tested like never before. So with that, I think let's delve straight into what are some of the effective strategies that our panel members here have used or successfully led during their times of transformation. So my first question is actually to Mr. N.P. Gupta. Sir, you have been successfully leading Hero e-cycles, and I think switching to e-vehicles is a very, very compelling vision for organizations, for nations, I think for our planet. But we've also seen that the adaptation to it has taken its own time, the readiness of the ecosystem, and I was sharing this with you earlier. The customer preferences towards switching have taken their time. Now, my question to you is, how during these times of transformation, when you are chasing a very compelling vision, but there is a long time for which the transformation is going to take place, how do you balance that vision and operational realities of today in the organization, amongst the people of the organization and your entire ecosystem?
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this question. Very interesting question. As I previously emphasized on a point of connect, so it is very, very important and imperative, to have a consumer connect. So in the times of transformation, we have seen, a major shift towards EV in the last 1 decade. Okay, and it was not easy. It was not easy due to the fact that we did not have the right infrastructure, we did not have the right technology in the country, and we were striving to get that. Okay, so it was very, very important to get the consumer preferences, what the customer wants. Okay, so we had coupled it up with some, some kind of market surveys, some kind of, connections with the government, that what government can provide us as a support to the industry, to the EV industry. So this last 1 decade has been very, very, tough for this EV industry. But now, since we have traveled a distance, so the coming times are, I think, very, very fruitful. The important factor what we have kept during the last, decade is one approach that we have taken was we have to be customer centric. That is very, very important. And the second important aspect that comes into picture is we have to be very, very, agile and innovative. Due to the fact that we have seen the pandemic times, the last 2 to 3 years of Corona, it was really, really tough. And we have learned the new ways of working during those, times. So that was the transformation that we did in those times. And the companies that were able to survive are now, growing on a growing path. So to keep that, agility and innovation, there are some, you have to be updated with the industry, because there is a lot to learn from the European, UK, and US industry. So what we have done is, for example, to keep up that, we have taken a project of sustainability. Okay, so we have created an arm into our research and development department, which takes care of the sustainability part of it. So we are designing our processes and product in a way that they are recyclable. They are taking care of that kind of sustainability. So that is very, very important, to keep that kind of innovation in your products. Because if you are doing it right from the beginning, from the design stage, you will be able to keep up with the customer requirement, consumer preferences, and the government regulations. Because it is also very, very imperative. And in fact, now it is coming to India, but in Europe and UK, it is already mandatory that you have to, keep those kind of requirements. So that is what we are trying to, attain.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think connect, what you said earlier, and customer centricity, I think that's something important in times of transformation, I think at all times and in all functions.
And
so
the
I'm
innovation.
sure, all functions, I'm sure this audience would resonate to customer centricity, as they, all of us deal with a lot of internal stakeholders, and connecting with them, knowing what's really on their minds, listening to them becomes very important. So thank you for that. I think this listening is a big bridge between vision and the operational realities. So thank you for that thought. My next question is to you, sir, Dr. Navil. Uh, you've been in the healthcare industry and on the technology side of it. Uh, this industry itself, I think, has seen technological revolution, and we all are witness to it. We've all experienced it. It would be great to hear your experience of how, during all of this transformation, um, communication has played a big role, whether it's with stakeholders or customers and employees, and how that has helped in this technological revolution.
Thank you. Very nice question, actually. And I'm very passionate about this subject. Even though we blame COVID, but we learn a lot of things. Okay. So till COVID, the technology used to move in a very slow pace, actually. During the COVID, we don't know how to serve the customers, actually. It was a shock to us. Now we should be ready how to serve. So there are many technologies came. Example, I would like to say called Internet of Things. So where all the medical products are connected to our servers. So we know what is going to happen to the customer side well before happening. So the feedback can be given to employees to prepare actually. So HR also plays a big role in that. Then we also should say whether customer believes in technology. Whenever any changes comes, there is a resistance always. The doctors say, okay, I don't know what is going to happen. So the communication is very important. Before communicating with the customer, we should communicate with our own employees actually. What are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and how to leverage this technology. Every technology has got its own advantage, but somebody can misuse it also. Example, in our case, the patient information, like you may go to a lab for a test, your information of the test is very, very important to you. It should not get leaked. But for us, we need to serve the customer of repairing the equipment, example. So we are not going to collect your data, but we need something else. That trust should be there with the customer. Same thing with the employees also. When the change happens, you should embrace this change. Otherwise, the organization cannot grow. So as a leaders, we should tell and we should involve them this change of technology also. Suddenly, if you tell, okay, tomorrow onwards, we are going to do something else, they may not come to you. So the trust factor can happen only when you involve them during the evolution actually. During the COVID time, many of us could not go to the customer place to do the servicing part or something like that. By using the technology, we could do many things remotely actually. Now, if you really ask me what technologies are changing, the AI is impacting very high in our field. Second one is the remote diagnosing and the patient care is very important actually. Like we can connect with any doctor anytime. And so whenever you do this one, there are billions of data also created. So how we can utilize this data for developing the next technology also very important and communicate this one to our stakeholder for long-term development actually. So this is my view on the technology and healthcare. Thank you so much.
No, wonderful. And you brought a very important point while sir was talking about customer centricity, but engaging with the employees and making them understand the change, because ultimately they are the ones who will take it to the customers. So employee engagement and connect and communication becomes very critical. And I think again, very, very important for this audience, because as the HR community, we are actually the bearers of that employment engagement agenda. So thank you, Dr. Navil, for that. Let me now invite Mr. Pukhraj Joneja. Sir, you have been in the travel industry, and this is another industry which has seen a fair amount of disruption, not just revolution, I would say disruption over the years. COVID was one big crisis situation, I would say. I think the audience would love to hear the role that people and culture play in making any organization ready for such kind of disruptions or transformations.
Interesting. And obviously, like all of us know, transformations are very, very painful and complex processes, right? But if we had to talk specifically about the role of people and culture and why is it very important in the overall scheme of things when you undergo a transformational process, I will tell that to you in form of an experience that I had some time ago in my career. I was a part of an organization But before that, I quickly want to talk about my leadership mantra. My leadership mantra has always been to embrace the servant leadership style. Because I personally feel if serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. So you need to serve, and specifically in my uh, organization or in my teams, I follow a process wherein I serve my teams. So I need to figure out what exactly they need in terms of succeeding, and then it is my job to figure out how do I remove those roadblocks and make them work. That is one. And with people and culture as a background, there are 4 E's that I would typically embrace, which I think work during a transformative phase, and I will kind of stitch this together when I tell you my experience. The first E is evangelize. We need to obviously tell people, convince them why transformation is necessary, what is it going to bring in at the end of the day, and they have nothing to fear. So that is one side of it. The second is empower. If you are going to transform, you will have to also empower your people to take the right calls so that they can carry the agenda that you laid down for them to follow. Third is, which is very important, and I'm sure all of you will agree here, is emote and empathize. We need to understand where are people in terms of their emotions, their personal aspirations, where do they want to be, which is obviously one of the biggest reasons why most of the transformative processes fail. It's because the people and their attitudes and their mindsets. And the last one is eliminate. Eliminate roadblocks, not people. Okay, so these are the 4 E's that I think work pretty well if you consider people and culture in general. And by the way, in some of the organizations where I took charge as a executive, the first person I must tell you in the core team I hired was the head of people and culture, even before the operations team. The reason is because if you get the right people to do the job and you set the right culture, it invariably is a recipe for success. It's a bit like that master chef dish, which looks very messy. You look at the contestants, right, when the episode is running. They're all over the place. They don't know what ingredients to get, how to put together a dish. Then it's extremely messy. You look at their tables, you'll have all the ingredients strewn all over. They would be you would not be able to imagine something good coming out of that table. And at the end, the mastership dish that they present in front of the judges is something like the transformative thing that finally comes out. After a lot of pain, that is in the background. However, having delved into this quite a bit, I will just tell you an experience. And I will start to tell you this experience not from a point that I achieved success, but from a point that I achieved failure. Because I think failure is something which teaches you much more. So we had in this organization a very, very good consultant that we hired to guide us. What are the transformative processes that we need to bring in, or if there is a transformation that is required in this organization. It's a large matrix organization, global MNC. And this gentleman creates a very compelling report, and he tells us that a lot is wrong in your organization and a lot needs to be fixed. And all of us, starry-eyed, and we thought this is something that we need to do. This is going to be the emancipator for us. We'll be at the next level once we go down that path. And we took the report literally, and we decided that yes, this transformative process will work. And from the people's perspective, what that meant was that we swap a lot of roles. We gave somebody a certain role, we gave somebody another set of area to look after, which they were not actually originally looking at. 6 months down the line, we were scratching our head. We had gone backwards, and not by very less, actually by quite a bit. So now we are sitting down and we are scratching our heads and we are trying to figure out where did things go wrong. And somehow, in the entire mix of the things, not because I was extremely good at it, maybe because I had more bandwidth, I was given the charge to figure out what is wrong, to deep dive along with the people and culture team. So we formed a committee to figure out where are things going wrong. So the first thing I did was, from people's angle, I went and spoke to each one of the people who were a part of that process that we had implemented on the ground. I went to Mr. X. Mr. X told me, why the hell did we do this transformation? Why was it required? Everything was just fine. There was no need for transformation. That is one. Then I went to Mr. Y. He told me I was doing my job extremely well. Why did you move me to this new role? There's nobody who can do it better. Why are you giving me this set of, goals to deliver to the organization? All right. Then I went to the third person. The third person told me that I have a situation at home, and there is nobody to help us on this project. If we are doing all the fighting ourselves, me and my teams are under a lot of stress, so we can't do it anymore. Similarly, I talked to the fourth person, and they had another view. I asked him, what is your problem? He said, I don't understand numbers. You've given me, a job which requires a lot of churning on numbers. I've done operations all my life. So this is when I'm going to stitch those 4 E's together. If you talk about Mr. X, he is not even evangelized. He is not even sure why this agenda needs to be driven. So the most important thing is we need to convince people that there is need for transformation, and it is good for each one of us. The second person says, I was doing a great job. That means we did not emote or empathize with him. He has resentment. He feels that the job he's been given is below him. He was doing a great job, and we moved him as a demotion. So this is the second part. The third gentleman says, I don't understand numbers, right? So it is an empowerment issue. You're asking somebody to run an agenda which they have no skill sets for. They're not empowered to do that. And the fourth person says that we are having to do all the fighting ourselves, which means that they are not getting the support or somebody who is going to remove those roadblocks. So this is the learning that came out of there. And then finally we formed a committee. And now is the rosy picture emerging over the next few months. I was given charge of that project. I was working closely with each one of them. I tried to remove their roadblocks to whatever best I could, and the people and culture team worked very closely with me to manage mindsets, attitudes, and aspirations. And finally, it became that masterchef dish that I was earlier talking about.
Yeah, no way. I think how beautifully you gave an example to illustrate the 4 E's. And a lot of times we use jargons and abbreviations, but a lot of us don't even understand them. So really kudos to you to help the audience understand what you mean by those 4 E's and how it has helped you in a real life situation. So thank you so much for that. I would now want to invite Mr. Ameet, sir. So you were sharing earlier the crisis situation of 2611 and your mantra of own, how it is important to own that change and accept the situation and then take charge and lead. So would love to listen to you and hear what have you learned during crisis through your career and through various transformation journeys. That would be insightful for the audience.
Thank you for that question, Priya. So just as a backdrop, I've been very fortunate to be part of crisis situations early on in my career. So 2008, subprime crisis happened in the US. I was part of the Citibank war room led by Vikram Pandit, who was the global CEO there. So I didn't lead that crisis, but I learned, what happens when, not millions, but billions of dollars sway, with the sunrise and then the moon coming on the other side of the world. What happens when a Lehman Brother goes down? What happens when Bear Stearns goes down? So I saw that in 2008, and that was engraved. And then that these situations prepare you for life. As I say, you don't learn this in a B school. These are real life situations. 2012 to 16, I led an organization called Clutch Group, which got acquired by More Global. We were down in red. The board was about to sign the dotted line that, closed. And that's the time, there was a changeover of management team. 4 of us came in, and we turned the company from 18 million to 54 million. That was transformation. We did a lot of things there. So that's also prepared me. But the one I want to talk about is the stint before the current one, which is, we all know it's a household name, VLCC. Most of us have seen the brand as we've grown. Families, most of your families would have been the customers out there. I was the CEO there, first for the product business or the COO, and then CEO for the services business, which is the wellness clinics, the academies that you see. So, large base, 3,000 people, 300 clinics, uh, you know, several thousand variables to manage. It's a service business, high intensity. And then COVID breaks, unplanned, timing, and then the timing was March 14th, 2020, March being the biggest month of the year. The crisis breaks in. I was running product business. We have a restructure, very, very quick in a week's time. I take over the service business. And here I'm addressing the army of 3,000 people. The only question they have is, when am I going to get my salary? And that's the question you have to answer. And to answer that question, you have to cross 5,000 steps to get there, which nobody is bothered about. So that's the first step. You dial a supplier, and the supplier says, all working capital lines are choked. You pay me cash, and I give you materials. Okay? You call the bank, they say, we are under an embargo. No lines are being extended, so cash flow situation is tight. You call the board says, own the business. You call your direct reportees, 7, 8 of them, and now that's a situation that you can't travel and meet in person. So you're using Zoom, and that's the new innovation that we realized at that time. The reportees say, we don't know what to do. Everybody is crying, and we don't feel like coming to office. So we might as well go and take some sabbatical. Now, that is the opening bell. Now, do you think about transformation or turnaround? That's the first question. And here, turnaround preceded transformation, because you have to first turn it around very, very quickly, make the quick fixes. In that process, enable transformation. Without people realizing that we are being transformed, because that is not really the project out here. The project is to first get back to life. From there, what I did was a few things. But before that, I will give you the end results. You get excited about that, and then the story becomes a little more interesting. Whatever happened in this 3.5 years, the result was, the business grew 5x, profitability grew 4x. We did the largest deal of the industry, sold to Carlyle, 3,000 crores. And the business was built to sustain forever. Now, what happened in the middle is a mystery. And then that is the transformation journey that we went through. So we didn't, first of all, we switched off our watches. We took off our watches. And that was my first mandate. There's no sun, there's no moon, there's no timing. There's only one purpose on the table. So let's put the purpose on the table. So we got everybody together, in as many Zoom calls, and let's align to the purpose. And that took me 3 months, honestly, to get alignment. It was not easy. Everybody had their own thing. And every day, literally every day that I would go to sleep, before I go to sleep, I would have at least a few phone calls coming in from people that I don't know, down the hierarchy, who would somehow get my phone number. And the phone calls would say, sir, I'm such and such person from this wellness center. I need 5,000 rupees because I have 2 children. I need to feed them milk. The other phone call said, I have 8 people dependent in my family. Rice cost X, rupees a kg. Wheat is X rupees a kg. Please get me my salary. I had another call that I would get, supplier calling me. I have lent everything that I could. From tomorrow morning, there are no more supplies. So figure out your way. How do you run the business? Forget transformation. Now you've set a transformation journey. You're getting the troops together. It's an army. The army has to roar only when they get the fuel, when they get the ammunition. Now there's no ammunition. and you want the army to fight a Kargil war, where the enemy is sitting on the top and you want to climb up, how are you going to climb? So what we did was, first is, putting the sense on the table that what is our purpose? If we don't get our purpose aligned, there is no transformation. As simple as that. We can struggle and we will die. Getting prevailing the sense and the purpose took me 3 months. The 7 odd direct reportees got aligned. Each of them became quasi CEOs of their own regimes. As simple as that. So the inspiration that I drew was from the army and from sports. You never give up in sports till the whistle is communicated. And then here, the communication will only happen, till the business is sold out, and then we're out and about. But the belief was so strong that that's never going to happen. So the second thing that I instilled was the belief that we are going to come back. We're going to make a comeback, and a comeback that nobody has imagined ever. And if you are able to stitch the story, it stays with you forever. If you fail in the story, it stays with you forever too. So we are winning on both sides. And I think that is what lit the fire. That we are in to win on either side. Even if you fail, this is the experience. I'm going to be prepared for life. If I win, I will have the experience and the victory on my side. And that got these 7 people times 3 now. 21 people on my side. Now the whole steering committee became 21 people. And 21 people running, the troop of 3,000 people became far more easier. There were situations of, employees not turning to work. There were tough calls where we had to, eliminate a few negative characters. There were tough calls in the business that we had to make. So very, very quick decision making, no hierarchy, flat structures. You make a decision in 15 minutes, escalate the next 15 minutes, 30 minutes, time out, make a decision, move forward. If nobody is available, you are the boss. Because we got to move forward. And that, the only reason we could do that is we laid a lot of trust in the steering committee. That you will fail, you will drop the ball, but we are here to pick it up. So make a decision, move forward. And that instilled a sense of responsibility down the chain. Yeah. That, I am the last filter. Now there was no filter. And there was this 23-year-old, employee who was given charge to make decisions. Now suddenly that instilled the fire in that employee. Now normally we are very protected. Corporate has a veil of protection. We make people comfortable. We removed all the comfort here in this situation. We said, we are going uphill. There is no leader. There are leaders. And each one of you will make your own call and take responsibility and own it. But if you fall, I'm going to be there to hold it. It was COVID. The other change that I did was I didn't work out of the corporate office. I worked out of the clinics, on the ground. Now that was a big change because, the organization in the 30 years history had never seen that. And we said, if the leaders are sitting in the clinics, that's where I belong. There's no corporate office. I traveled, during COVID times, literally 15 to 18 days a month, not because that was necessitated, but because my troops would tell me, what, we are in a customer touch business. I am coming to work and risking my life. Here I answered, I am risking my life with you. Both of us can die. Both of us may not see our families. Yeah. We are in it together. Yeah. Now that saw, army rising. And we could literally feel goosebumps every day. Yeah. That, first I could hear 7 people, then 21 people, then 500 people, then 1,000 people, then 2,000 people. Then we were unstoppable. Yeah. Yeah. And the only proof I had was by example. I used to show my arm because they used to stamp those days, when we used to cross airports.
Yeah, what I hear you say is
Mumbai would stamp.
You're creating a movement.
Bangalore would stamp, and I would show my arm. I said, see, these are my boarding cards. I'm hopping 7 cities. I'm in Maharashtra, deepest problem. I'm with you. We die together. there is no CEO.
Yeah, yeah.
There is no air condition. You know.
And I think your story is interesting because very beautifully it actually incorporates pretty much every message that the panel members today have spoken about, which is the vision, which is about the trust, about connecting, it's about empowering, it's about taking the team along and creating the kind of movement from 7 to 21 to 500. So I think very, very beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing that story, because in times of crisis is when these stories of success or failure both come together and bring with them a lot of learning. So indeed, it has been a very, very enriching experience to hear the stories. I think from the time we started, trust, connection, customer centricity, ownership during crisis, from evangelist to empowerment to how we are really going to take the team along, the last one. I think all of them very, very resonating messages to what topic we are discussing today in times of transformation.